If you are a contractor employee, when you arrive on the job site, you must disclose with the facility's maintenance staff and/or the facility's safety officer what chemicals will be used during your project.
When it comes to exposure to hazardous materials, everyone is accountable for materials he or she brings into a healthcare facility. We should be knowledgeable of chemicals used to make sure they do not interact with other chemicals in the facility, causing a hazardous situation. You will also need to know where and how to store the materials at the end of a workday. In addition, some chemicals must be properly labeled as hazardous. One last thing to remember is to make sure to keep the safety data sheets with you at all times. Consider this. You find an empty spray bottle without a label. You take a potentially hazardous chemical and put it into the spray bottle. Let's say you forget to label the bottle. Later, you put the bottle down and walk away. Someone else enters the site, picks up the bottle, and begins to use it for another purpose. Do you see the potential problem here? That is why OSHA requires labels indicating content on all containers. Let's talk about storing construction materials. It doesn't matter if your work materials and equipment are classified as hazardous. You must never store any items in a healthcare facility unless you have received specific permission from the safety officer or facilities department personnel. If permission is granted, you must verify whether the items must be kept behind locked doors. You must never store any potentially combustible material in a hospital. Examples of this rule are gas-powered generators, gas-powered pressure washers, or previously used cleaning rags which may have been used to apply or clean up a degreaser chemical. Those rags, in certain circumstances, can spontaneously combust. Many hospitals will be called upon to treat inmates from local correctional facilities. They are usually referred to as forensic patients. If you are working near such a patient room, you will be directed to take additional safety precautions regarding your tools and equipment. This may include assigning one member of your team the sole responsibility of watching all tools and equipment to make sure nothing is left unattended or stolen by an inmate. Typically, similar safety precautions will apply to your team when working in a behavioral hospital or state mental health facility. You should always ask the security and facilities personnel what is expected of you and your team in such circumstances.
You will learn more about fire safety in Part 2 of this course. However, while on the topic of healthcare safety practices, it's a good time to discuss two acronyms that you should follow in case of a fire.
The first acronym is RACE. Rescue, alarm, contain, and extinguish or evacuate. Rescue the person in danger, activate the alarm, contain by closing off space, and extinguish or evacuate. RACE will help you react effectively if a fire should occur in a healthcare facility. The second acronym is PASS. It addresses the proper use of fire extinguishers. P stands for pull the pin, A, aim the nozzle, S, squeeze the trigger, and S, sweep the nozzle at the base of the fire. Knowing the proper use of a fire extinguisher could result in saving the lives of your team members, hospital staff, visitors, and patients.